Hello, 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 and welcome. My name is Lee Cara. This is Unleash Your Light. I'm going to take just a moment to make sure we are live. I'm so excited for today's show, y'all. I have been having these great guests on, but I actually think that this is one of my best guests so far. So I hope you will tune in, share with your friends. I'm going to make sure that we are live. Usually I put up a cute little screen. We've been having some technical difficulties also. So please let me know if you can see me. If you are here with me, jump in and say hello. Let's see what we got going on here. There we go. I see myself. I must be live. I'm going to share out. I hope that you will share out. Say hello if you are here. I am super excited, you guys. So I have today a guest that I have been watching from the shadows. Yes, a little bit of that. I see you. I see what you're doing. I like it. He speaks on a lot of the same things that you and I speak on. He's very, very intuitive. He's very, very fascinating. He's very down to earth on top of that, which y'all know I do not play with that woo-woo foofy, everything's an illusion, and oh, we're gonna meditate for 25 hours a day. That's all well and good, but we have to live in a real world. So I'm always with the real world stuff too. So finding someone who puts in how to like actually work through the stuff we've been going through, somebody who actually speaks on the types of things that y'all know I love to speak about, like loving yourself, like embracing yourself, like embracing the light within you. All of that is like, that's my jam, y'all. That's my jam. So I had the most adorable like synchronicity today. I'm going to bring in the guest. My guest today is Dave Vargas. Here we go. He's coming into the broadcast. Yay, Dave. Okay, let's see if we can hear Dave.
Hello there.
Oh, I hear Dave. Okay, let's see. We'll make sure that we can hear Dave on the thing too. I have been having some technical issues, y'all. So if we are lagging, if there are issues, please stay with us. Please stay tuned. Please come back. I definitely hear my own mouth. Y'all can hear that, right? You hear my own mouth there. Let's see.
Hello there.
All right, I hear him. There we go. So if you're here, please jump in and say hello. Dave, welcome so much. I'm so grateful to have you here. And I told Dave right before we went on air that I had kind of a surprise for Dave. And it's not something that I expected to happen, but you got to know that I am big on synchronicities. I'm super big on like the universe is always giving us signs. It's always everywhere around us. And we just have to open our eyes, open our hearts, open our minds, and like pay attention because the universe is screaming at us all the time to be heard through everything that we have. So, on Facebook, there's that thing that says in your memories. So a year ago today, I posted this thinking I was very funny. Now, Dave and I, let me preface this by saying, Dave and I have never spoken before today. We've messaged once or twice on Messenger. We've never had an actual like conversation about anything. And I don't consider him in my friends group. No offense, Dave, because we don't really know each other like that. You know what I'm saying? Okay, so
Yeah.
this is what I posted a year ago today. And I don't know if you can see this. Dave, it says there's a person capable of murder in every friendship group. I suspected it was Dave, so I killed him before he could cause any harm. So that was a year ago today. If you look at the date up here, now I'm not saying I'm going to kill you, by the way. I'm just saying that it's very funny that something that says Dave was in my 1 year ago today on the day that we are having our little thing. So synchronicity from the universe. It just made me giggle so much when I saw it. I was like, okay, I see you. All right, so I could have stopped talking for a minute.
Yeah.
And there is
I
a
love
lag.
that. I mean, now I know why I'm here. I better just look around me and
Watch your back.
I
Watch
love
your
it.
back, Dave.
Yes, I am. And it's always wonderful to see how things line up and all the beautiful signs that line up like that. It happens so much more than we ever even realize it happens. I mean, if we're still enough, and usually we have to have it hammer us over the head to really realize it, but those signs are everywhere. The
Oh
synchronicity
yeah.
is beautiful.
Oh yeah, and for me, my people. Last week we had on Richard Lasseter. He calls them helpers. I just always say like my people. They always have an extreme sense of humor with me because I have a very strange sense of humor. I'm a very odd person. And so the sense of humor that comes through for me is always absolutely hysterical. So I love it. So, okay, Dave, I would love for you to tell us and tell my audience and tell my friends what you are about. Who is Dave Vargas? What do you do? Tell me a little bit about how you got here, and let's just roll on into this.
Well, yes, I am under a title or a label, a transformation mindset coach. I do work with clients privately, one on one. And what that in essence does is I am looking to transform the quality of people's lives by transforming the quality of their thoughts. You know,
Mm-hmm.
that's an essence of what it is. And on synchronicity, it's just the signs of what we're creating, and it's coming, sharing the knowledge that we're all creators, we're co-creators. We have this beautiful power of creation that's continuously on, and it's transforming the awareness that we're always creating, that we're these powerful co-creators with the divine intelligence that surrounds us, and transforming those thoughts that we're going to get what we believe in, we're going to get what we're thinking, we're going to get what we're feeling. And not many people feel good about themselves, so that's where I come in.
Absolutely. Same. I'll say same to that. And Dave does a lot of different things along those lines. Y'all know I usually stick with my little Unleash Your Light show. I have my little book. Um, Dave does a lot of things, and I'm gonna let him plug everything for sure. I definitely put the link to davevargas.com up in the description so that way you guys can reach out to him. But Dave, I would love for you to just kind of run down a quick little thing of all the different things that you do to promote this self-love and this recognition of our co-creation with the universe.
Yes, I love to write. That's how everything started when my awareness opened up many years ago. It's about 10 years ago or so now. When I became awakened, if you will. It's a cliched term, but it's the best word to describe that. For so long, and I'm sure many people that are watching now, we feel like we're just this lone person in this meat suit, and life sucks, and then you die, and no meaning. What's the meaning of it all? And it's waking up to that we're so much more than that.
Yeah.
There is order. That there is order to this entire universe. These universal laws of creation, and I awoken to that. I was privy to that a little bit, and it was about 10 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And I had a voracious appetite for it. I read every book I could get my hands on. I dig deeper, uh, because I have such a love for music. And when I really love particular artist, I will get everything that they've ever done, but then I want to know how they got that way.
Mm-hmm.
I want to go and, start digging back. Well, who were they listening to? Where did they, how did they learn to be who they are? And I was doing the same thing. And so when I find someone that I really enjoy, I dig deep. What are they studying? And going and really just digging back. And so it was about 10 years ago. I still study what I call reading. I still do that every day. I set a particular time and I started writing. This. I couldn't believe that there was such order, that we were just so much more powerful than we ever even dreamed or realized. And I wanted to just share that with the world. I wanted to tell everyone I possibly could. And so I love writing. I do that. And then as the years grew on through the writing and everything, other people wanted, they wanted to dig deeper and came to me. And I realized through being a fitness trainer that my real true purpose was, working with people, speaking to them,
Mm-hmm.
not show them how to do a plank, but how to go within, to how to go within and use these powerful laws of creation to their betterment. So I started doing that. I started coaching. I started putting courses together, all on self-love. If we're not connected with ourself, if we don't identify with self, we can learn about everything else, but if we don't find about the engine of the car, everything else is abstract. It's useless. It's not a deeper meaning yet.
Absolutely. It doesn't become personal until we internalize it, until we address it and apply it to ourselves, to what we're doing. You can have all the abstract knowledge of being a musician in the world, but until you pick up the instrument and start to do it, that's what transforms it. Our brain can still make the connections. And they've done all these studies about how you can pretend to play an instrument for however long, and then you actually, learn the same amount. But until you actually put it into practice, it doesn't come through at all. Your story sounds very familiar because it's very close to not only mine, but many of the people that are in our audience who have gone through this. And so many of the people that we speak to who do this type of thing, like you and I, you feel compelled to share. You feel compelled to bring it out to the world. And along that journey, we also feel compelled to learn about ourselves, to apply the lessons to ourselves. Some better than others, some are easier than others, but embracing that part of us that is divine is that unconditional love of self. And so we integrate the God, energy, light, love, whatever the heck you like to call it. I would say call it Fred if you want. It doesn't matter. As long as you're seeking it, it doesn't matter what you call it. It knows that you're speaking to it, And so when we integrate that into our lives, into our everyday lives, and we turn that love on ourselves, it shines out to it changes everything else in our lives without us really having to do that much, because it shifts the thought patterns, just like you were talking about. And it's interesting that you say that you're a fitness trainer. I did not know that, by the way. I had a fitness trainer on 2 or 3 weeks ago who also does behavior change. So he focuses a lot on behavior change with his fitness clients because he found that if he doesn't, then they don't stick with the pattern. Then it doesn't make a difference what they're doing, because they're only doing it. It's like studying for the test, but not actually learning what's going on inside, So he was saying exactly the same type of thing that you're saying about it. It's something that we can't just read in a book. We have to practice it in our everyday life. And that's where I think there's a disconnect, because there's a lot of people with a lot of knowledge who still do the exact same patterns, who refuse to look at their own stuff. So I would love to hear, one of the things I always talk about is accountability, and really looking at yourself and really, really accepting who you are in this moment, not glazing over it, looking at how you got to this point, and then loving yourself and forgiving yourself for that stuff. I would love to hear how you address that in your practice, in your clients, in your teachings that you do.
Well, you brought up a good point, and I wanted to, back it up a little bit. Got into all of this because there is chaos. My life was chaos. I was completely didn't identify with self, so I didn't really like myself. I had a very low opinion of myself and what I was capable of doing.
Same.
Yeah, I mean, I was probably the opposite of what people know of me today. And through chaos, through suffering, because when we don't know ourselves, when we do not identify with self, and that the essence of love that we are, if we're suffering, and because of that, there comes a point where everyone has to say, I'm not going to suffer anymore. I am sick and tired of being sick and tired. Forcing a change. And so through suffering, through chaos, and the way out of that is order.
Yeah.
And it was like you were saying. And so that's why I studied. I wanted to know, why did I act the way I did? Why was I, making all these wrong choices? Why was I playing small? Why was I not showing up for myself the way I wanted to, or wished that I could, and dreamed that I could? And so my accountability is order. Jocko Willink has a phrase, and it's, discipline is freedom. And it's showing up for myself every day. I have a set routine where I wake up very early, and I do my writing, reading. I call it my study time. I meditate and I pray. And I get all those things done. And, and then I'll do a workout because I feel it's very good to stretch and to move, because it keeps me focused. Because if there's no order, then I'm welcoming in randomness, chaos, confusion. When I don't show up for myself, the ego split mind, the non-real part of me wants me to play small so that it can feel guilty. So it doesn't want me to do the very thing that I'm supposed to do. And then when I listen to that and don't do it, I feel very guilty, disempowering. So that's why it's freedom when I show up for myself as accountability. And this is when I do it. This is the time I do it. It sounds maybe to someone regimented. Maybe it sounds robotic. But there's order. And through that discipline is the freedom. I feel good. I feel good doing what I do. And since I feel good doing what I do, those are acts of self-love. And everything that we do should be, do I love myself enough to do this, or to not be a part of this? I love myself so much. I'm going to do this. I want to feel good.
Yeah. But that's the hardest thing, is acknowledging that love of self, because so many of us, we're trained to judge from the time that we're old enough to even look at something. We judge it good or bad, right or wrong, big or small, that nice or not nice, nice or mean, whatever it is. And we're taught from our parents, you're good, you're bad. You're a good girl, you're a bad girl. You're a bad boy, you're a good boy. You're behaving, you're not behaving. I approve of you, I don't approve of you. And we do this to ourselves long after those voices. A lot of us has dug into that part. Oh, my parents this, my parents that. And you have to go through that, but you also have to recognize, okay, they're in their own stuff and they did what was done to them and all that. And then you have to get to a point where you go, well, they're not saying that anymore, or they're not with us anymore. Now who's saying that stuff to me? Now who is doing this to me? Now who is the one who's telling me I'm not good enough and I don't deserve this? And so that's always something that is where self-awareness plays such a huge part of becoming this loving person towards yourself, because you have to be aware of those moments. I discovered something just recently. I've spent a lot of time on my emotional health, on my spiritual health, but I haven't spent a lot of time on my physical health, my vessel health. And so over the past few months, I've really been trying to dig into that. I just did the thing you're talking about creating a pattern, like a routine in the mornings. Now my morning doesn't start until 11:30, but I have this routine that I do. I started doing yoga like a month and a half ago. I went vegan. Like, I'm really trying to make this shift. What I recognized right before I decided to make this shift was that this line of self-acceptance that I was saying, I love myself exactly as I am, was allowing me to not honor my vessel, because I still had that piece of me that, even though all of the right things were being said, I still had that hidden part that was unloving, that was unaccepting, that was trying to hold me back from showing up for myself, like you were saying, from being there for myself. And it amazes me that even 9 years later in this awakening, I still have these moments every freaking day of this, aha moment, as Oprah likes to say, like these moments where you're just kind of like, this has been hiding from me the whole time. Like, I've been looking in the mirror going, Dan, you're cute. Dan, you look good. And yet underneath of that, there was still this chunk of me that was holding on for dear life to the self-hating, self-loathing, hiding in the corner. So I can totally relate to what you're talking about here.
Yes. I'm always getting closer to who I really am, or closer to the truth, closer to unraveling one more layer that has been built up. Even when you don't think there's any more left, you find out that there's one more. We have resistance within us. We are a spiritual being made aware in a human nervous system. And the human of us, there's resistance. We fight the very thing that we know we should do. What's good for us, we fight it. And another word for resistance is fear. But we fight it. We fight it so we'll do everything else. I should do this writing right now. I should do this workout right now. But the ego, the mind of me, and for those that are listening, the ego is the split mind. It is the voiceless side of us, the identity that we have constructed based on the past experiences that we have had. You were mentioning we thought who we are is based on the love we didn't or did get growing up. Our beliefs are based off a repetition of information.
Yeah.
That's where our beliefs come in. We learn. I'm not. My name. Who I am is not Dave. When I was born, the doctor didn't say, "Hey, folks, it looks like you have a David Michael here." It, that's not who I am. And
Yeah.
I think on some level, everyone would say, "Well, of course not," But that's where our disconnect is, where we have misproper identification of who we are.
Yeah.
So I didn't respond to David or Dave until probably the 1,752nd time that my mother yelled at me.
Mm-hmm.
David. And then I finally said, I think they're talking to me.
Right. I guess that's me.
Okay. Right. This word that I keep hearing, this sound, maybe I should, look. And this sounds elementary, but that very thing forms the basis for the rest of our life. And
Yeah.
so that was a repetition over and over of information. And so when we're very young, before we encountered judgments, before we encountered fear, we were in our natural state of love. And we started picking up the environment around us, the people that raised us, whether it's parents or whoever it was, the dominant people in our life. We noticed this is how they handle money. This is how they handle love. For most cases, not. And we formed that as the program in our subconscious mind for the rest of our life. We picked up other people's beliefs and we formed that as our identity. This is me.
I say that all the
And that,
time. One of the things that I've
yeah.
mentioned so many times on this is that as a little child, you might have overheard something like, oh, something's not right about that girl, or what's wrong with that girl's hair, or, shush, nobody wants to hear you talk, little girl, that sort of a thing. We hear that when we're little, and we don't really understand what it means. We don't get there just trying to get us to be quiet. So then the next time somebody shushes us, we think, oh gosh, they're right. I don't deserve to be heard, or obviously there is something wrong with me. So then the universe starts to give us all this evidence to show us that there's something wrong with us. We're able to find evidence in the world around us and create guilt and shame so easily that we pick up when we're children and we don't even remember it. And here we are years later in this space where we're like, nobody ever listens to me. Nobody cares what I have to say. And sometimes that makes you louder. And sometimes that makes you shrink into the walls. And until we can dig back, I call it like following the vines back down to their roots, because that one root thing of picking up someone else's words and internalizing it will create these vines in our life that are so insidious that it takes a lifetime to unravel them. But that's the point. Like, that's the point of the journey. It is a joy to follow those pieces of pain back to their root and to be able to pull that out and say, mwah, I love you. I love you. And to then not have it control us anymore. You see, my co-host popped in back here, my co-host there.
Oh, hello there. Well, I agree. And I agree on that. It's not so much that we have to, for anyone listening, it doesn't mean that we have to be psychoanalytical. The new model replaces the old model, and automatically psychoanalysis as a profession is even on the way out. It's good to identify that this is why I believe this. This is why. This is why I didn't feel safe and trusted to be who I am. And that's why, as an adult, that I don't show up for myself, and that I speak my truth confidently and in a relaxed manner to everyone else. We've confused chaos and confusion as love.
Mm-hmm.
And so, with that said, it's learning to say, okay, this is where I am. I am no longer, because I'm also a Course in Miracles teacher. And it was like you said, when you find that root and you kiss it, you make well
Mm-hmm.
with it. When we realize that these disempowering beliefs has just been handed down from generation to generation to generation. The same things, the foods they ate. They ate it because that's the foods they like. And because that's what their parents served them. This is a thing that just keeps going on and on. It is so easy to forgive people when you realize that they're in their own life of fear and fear projecting.
Oh yeah, empathy.
That it's no longer, yeah, that it's no longer you. It wasn't that something was wrong with you, that you were
Yeah.
lacking anything. When you come to that place and realize that, nothing, it wasn't personal. It was their own prison of fear.
Yeah.
You know,
One of the shows I do is called
and
Don't Take It Personally, but It's All About You. And it's one of the shows that
that's a good title.
every time that I every time that I see it, it totally I talk about that in all of my shows with relationships with other people, with our family, with our friends, with our loved ones, that what they are doing is really from their own place of pain. And yet it ties into the spaces in us that need healing because they fit us together with someone who triggers our issues so that we can both work on it. And so when we change how we look at ourselves and how we respond to that stimuli of you're this, you're that, then our partner also is either forced to change or chooses not to change, but it's that everything in our lives is there for us as a lesson, as something to learn from, as an experience to grow from. And so I always find it fascinating. Like you said, there's chaos and order, and there is order and chaos. And what seems like random happenings is always the machinations of the universe behind the scenes, bringing us exactly what we need. I picture it like the most beautiful stage show ever with all the stagehands and all the lighting techs and all the people under the stage rising things up and the spotlight people and the stage man, and the musicians and it's this beautiful, beautiful show that's going on all the time with us in the center as its star. And yet, are we the star? We're everything and we are nothing. It's all for us, but we are for it as well.
Yeah, I still love that title, but it's very true. What we're doing when we are triggered by somebody, and that wording got taken out of context and lost its true meaning. But trigger is, when someone says something, or we're a part of a situation, a challenge, and it's triggering a wound in us. When we're acting irrational, we're flying off the handlebars, we're acting a little nutty. And it's because it's touching upon a traumatic wound that we have. And the wound is not of the body. The wound is of the mind. And the what we are looking to do is heal our perception. It's a wounded perception of how we view ourselves, view the world, view everything, our place in that. Now, since we have to, what healing is doing is cleaning that lens, because we just covered my whole basis of knowledge is on my past experience, past data. So in essence, I'm never in the now. I'm never here in reality. I'm viewing everything through the lens of the past.
Yeah. Yeah.
I
Totally get.
remember, yeah, we're never here in the present moment when we feel, especially when we're getting triggered or things of that nature. We're never, we're eternal beings
Mm-hmm.
that is birthless and deathless. There's no yesterday. There's no such thing as Tuesday. It, you know, and yet we're very rarely in reality,
Yeah.
the right now.
Yeah. All time happens all the time. So if something
Yeah,
from your linear past is
yeah,
still hurting you and you think of it now, you're going to get that exact same reaction, whether the person in front of you did that to you or not. So somebody broke your heart 20 years ago, like crushed it into little pieces, and the person in front of you says something similar to that and gives you that same emotion. You may react from that depth of pain rather than from this little piece that this person in front of you gave you. And because all time happens all the time, that's why the healing of that moment, to recognize that wasn't like the end of the world, that wasn't this huge thing, and you take your accountability and you forgive yourself, like that process of doing that is what allows us to live in the now and free us from that prison, so we can learn what we needed to learn, but we can release those shackles and live in the now and address those things that come up as a person right in this moment. One of the things I often mention is, if you lost all of your memories tomorrow, would you still be you? Who would you be? Are you living your life because of what happened yesterday, or are you living in your divine energy that you have right this moment of love and empathy and forgiveness for the world?
that's a beautiful question slash statement, and we would return as the natural state. Like I said, when we're children, when we're infants, we're children, we haven't been programmed with fear yet.
Right.
We haven't been, judgments. When we want to dance, if anyone can even realize, if we're, in the living room, everyone's over for a family get together, and we're, music is on, and we're just dancing like a fool in the middle of the room, and we don't care. We're not like, oh, I feel fat, or am I doing it right?
Right.
No, we're just doing it. We're in alignment. We're just doing it. We are love.
Yeah.
I am in my natural state. And so, it was then we learned fear, judgments, and then that's when the programming started. But
Yeah.
to say what you were saying, I remember very long ago, I was, excuse me, watching a special quite a few years ago. It was great, and it was originally aired in India, and it had Deepak Chopra on it. Also had Sadhguru, who I love, immensely. And so these are two great Eastern, you know, men of wisdom. One is very much more, westernized, with all the great clothes, Deepak Chopra, all the
Mm-hmm.
notoriety, doctor, and all this. And then you have Sadhguru, who is in the traditional East, Indian robes, big flowing white beard, turban. And, the interviews asking them both the same questions. Posed one to Deepak Chopra. Deepak gave a great philosophical, whimsical, answer. And the interviewer went right to Sadhguru and says, Well, what do you think? And he says, I don't think. And the whole crowd went crazy and laughed, and they and everyone wanted to probably still no, but what do you really think? And he wanted to point out that all a thought is a recycled experience. We have, through our human experience, we had to put a judgment on everything. This is what a chair does. This is what a glass does. And it serves us very well at times. It serves us very well if we're crossing the street and we hear a car horn. We automatically, instinctively know, based on the past experience, jump on the curb, get out of danger. Things like that. That's come in handy. But all a thought is not something of the nowness of this moment. It's a experience, a recycled experience, a judgment of the past. And that's so where we want to come to a place is that releasing, saying, I don't know everything. In this meaningless world, I don't know it all. And some of these beliefs that I've held on to about myself, that I am holding on with a white knuckle grip, is not serving me.
Yeah.
There's many beliefs that whoever's listening right now. I mean, what is your self-image? What do you envision yourself as? This loving, strong, giving person, not your intention, but the mental image that you have. And there's a point when we have to reevaluate what we believe in about ourselves, what we're capable of doing, and realizing we can discard those and we can form new beliefs.
Right. Because they're just literally thoughts that we're recycling. They're just literally like I turned 50 in a couple of days. So it's literally like a cassette tape that plays over and over again. It's like a cassette tape that plays over and over again. And you can erase what's on that cassette tape and say something different into it. So that is what plays in your head. My little book, Unleash Your Light, that they kind of like dictated to me, like 3 days into my awakening. It was like very scary. But one of the steps in there is be kind to yourself, be nice to yourself. And literally, I finished writing a little book and they were like, okay, now do the steps. And I was like, wait, what do you mean? Now do the steps? And learning to recognize every time I said something destructive, every time that I put myself down, every time that I said something about the world around me that wasn't actually a true thing. It was my perception through what I believed about myself. Oh, that person is looking at me because I'm repulsive. Oh, that person is saying this to me because obviously I'm stupid. And recognizing these thoughts was so incredibly difficult to do. And yet I was able to, just by saying the opposite, like I'm a Seinfeld fan. So George had a whole episode where he did the opposite of what his gut told him to do. And it went very well for him for most of the episode. I just started saying the exact opposite. And while that sounds like duh, so many of us have a problem doing that. One of the things that I like to do around the new year is to challenge my people to go 3 minutes thinking only kind thoughts, not like you're sitting down and trying to do it, but just in your regular life. and only think a kind thought. And if you think something mean about yourself or someone else or some sort of weird whatever, start over. And so many people could not get through 3 minutes of kindness to their self in their regular day when they weren't like sitting down just like focused on that. And it becomes something again with the self-awareness. You have to become hyper vigilant of what programs are running through, of the malware that's in your computer, of the viruses that don't flag me. I'm talking about computer viruses, Facebook, of the viruses that get stuck in the computer of who we are.
Yeah.
We have to always be paying attention to it so we can pluck it out and reprogram a loving, divine thought. I always say that the divine is with us all the time, right? It's constantly writing with us. It is us. Would you say to an angel, guide, the God, whatever you like to call it, the things that you are saying to yourself? Because guess what? You are saying them to an angel. You are telling an angel, I'm a loser. I don't deserve to have happiness. I suck at this. I'm ugly. I'm disgusting. You are literally saying that to the divine energy that is in you. And the divine energy is screaming for you to recognize your perfection in your imperfection, that you are everything and you are nothing, that you are that space of growth and love and expression that is that allows that divine energy to be in the world in human form.
Yeah, absolutely. I thoroughly agree with that. It's very strange concept. And if we would ever say what we really feel about ourselves out loud, everybody would be shocked. Everybody in the streets would be in shock because we have a perception of other people. And if we've seen photos of that, of actually written on the body of what we really feel about ourselves. Mm-hmm. And so to be even kind to ourselves is a strange notion. But when we recognize, we're aware that is the belief that I've held for myself based on past experiences, based on repetition of information. If you are habitually getting someone telling you you're no good, you no common sense, you're good for nothing, that's the repetition of information. You take that on. But the beautiful thing is when we realize we can form these new beliefs by the very same way the old ones got there, and it's a repetition of new information. A lot of my clients, I have them do writing assignments with their non-dominant hand, certain affirmations. And, they have to do it, like 60, 90 days. And they send it to me, part of accountability. And it's a repetition of new information. We are now forming a new belief, the new program in the subconscious mind.
Mm-hmm. And the discipline comes in there, full circle.
Yes, because we are only going to rise to the self-image, to the programming in our mind. We'll never rise above that. And so that's why it's very important. It's the reason why the conscious mind loves entertaining new ideas. I'm going to start this. I'm going to eat clean. I'm going to do this, start Monday. Oh, I can't wait. But the belief in the subconscious mind is what dictates behavior. Yeah. And when we go and do that new venture, whether it's a new business opportunity, new workout plan, new, eating cleaner, whatever that program is, and the self-image we have of ourselves, it's going to knock us right out. Mm-hmm. That ego mind and the belief is going to say, no, I don't think so. You can watch one more episode of Ozark. It's okay.
Mhm.
We're in a pandemic. Everyone's in lockdown. No one's going to see you. You can just relax. Take it easy. You know,
Yeah.
it's you said a perfect word, the ego mind. And a lot of people take ego as a very bad connotation, as something of their character, but it represents, everyone has it. It's part of the split mind, and everyone has it. EGO, edging God out, edging source out. Its whole religion, its whole life's purpose is to keep us disconnected from source, from the
Mhm.
universe, disconnected from our higher being. So it goes full circle that with a repetition of new information, we've now formed the new belief. This is who I am. This is the experiences I want to experience. And that starts with, like you said, it's doing it every day until it is now the program. You will
Yeah.
not deviate from that.
Yeah. It comes
You know.
naturally. It just comes naturally now. Every
Yeah.
time one of those thoughts pop up, I literally go, I see you. I see you. I hear you. I see what you're doing. Guess what? We're not playing that way. You need to go, I love you and I see your pain, but we're not going to play today. Go and, and I talk when those thoughts comes up, when that stuff comes up, I dig into it and I have a conversation. Why did you show up right now? Why are you here? And it's that discipline. And that was taking that to the physical. I got very disciplined about paying attention to all the thoughts that cross my mind and which ones need to be pushed down the river and which ones I need to go, hey, what is actually going on with this? And yet in the physical, in the vessel, I was not doing that. And that I still struggle with. And that is tied in to the intention of and the discipline and the thoughts that are hiding so incredibly deeply. It is absolutely fascinating to recognize the correlations between things that we think are this way and not that way. And the reason that you on the right something instead of the left side. All these little things are programming that came from something random. Somebody bumped to us if we walk to the left and our brain just, it's fascinating to take a look at this stuff and painful sometimes. And it is literally that discipline of being willing to stay in it, to pay attention, to always have your eyes, your ears, and your heart and mind open to these experiences as we're transforming, and I always say there's no destination. Like, this is the destination right here, what we're doing, this transformation. What I do today is the most important thing I can ever do in my entire life. And what I'm doing tomorrow is the most important thing that I can do in my entire life. And sometimes that does mean, okay, I feel like crap and I'm just going to sit here and watch another episode. But I recognize that I'm doing this. And guess what? I'm going to make a better choice. Right now, I'm going to sit in this and figure it out. Tomorrow or 10 minutes from now, I'll make a different choice, because every single moment we get to choose. We get to pick. We get to decide if our intentions, our words, and our actions are going to line up. And that is just a fascinating journey to watch when you're really paying attention and
It
going,
really
oh.
is. It's beautiful the way everything unfolds. And, we're talking about beliefs. We're talking, from being lost and confusion and complete randomness and self-loathing, to being disciplined enough to want better. Because what do you want? What do you really want? Because the beautiful aspect, what are the rewards of doing this? May sound like a lot of work, but what are the rewards? And the rewards is meeting yourself, meeting your higher being, seeing all the visions in our mind that we imagine, and we're able to see them on the physical plane. You know, they're on the spiritual plane, and it's being able to, I connected with myself. I feel better. So I'm on a better frequency and I'm on a better vibration. And I'm now able to be a conduit. I'm, you know, and go further than that. It's not the conduit. We're always creating. We're never denied. We'll get whatever that we're asking for. Our cursings or our blessings, we're creating it all, manifesting at all times. And so the rewards of this is now no longer being the blockage. We're removing all these blocks to be able to get the abundance.
Yeah.
We're able to, whatever our wildest imaginations that, you know, we imagine that we want to experience, it comes.
Right.
And it comes like
we are always our
as
biggest
if it's
obstacle.
Yes, that's why I like the name of your show. It's the segment you were talking about, that it's never about you, but it's
always.
What was the name of it?
Don't take it personally, but it's all about you.
Because everything starts and originates here. When we're in the grand scope of things, everything is energy, and it's speaking to the oneness of us all. And because, well, then if I am not a body, I am spirit. I'm spirit energy. I like to share with people sometimes, to get a grasp of our oneness, is look about the room now. Look about the room that you're sitting in now, and point to me the many different areas where there is only oxygen in the room. It just can't be done. It's everywhere. Mm-hmm. You know, and this is the life force that we're a part of. It's everywhere. There is no you and I. It's us. It's the oneness. And so there's no one else in the room. So everything starts and begins with me. I'm not the victim.
Yeah.
And, you know, I'm not the victim. And if I'm defending myself, that's when I know that I'm no longer spirit identification. I'm body identification. I am in the trappings of this ego identity. I'm Dave Vargas. I'm this, and that. Who are you to say this about me? And so that's when I know I'm in trouble. If we're defending, we're in trouble.
Right.
And we're headed on a path. That's huge. It's huge.
For sure. And just saying, I am not a victim, because the world teaches us that we are a victim of our external. But really, we are a victim of our internal, because we are our own biggest obstacles. Almost anything externally can be overcome in some way. It may not be overcome the way that we want it to be overcome, but everything in the external is affected by what's in the internal. And a little thing that I always talk about is, everybody knows someone that when they walk in the room, everyone goes, oh God, who invited this person? And everybody knows someone who walks in the room and they're all like, woohoo, sunshine, the party is here. Like, our energy is affecting the material world around us. I posted something from the Heart Math Institute talking about that. I'm not like a real big science person, but about how we are always affecting the material world that is around us. And so it's that discipline, like you were saying, to constantly pay attention to our thoughts, because we are creating it. What we did yesterday got us here. What we do today gets us to tomorrow. How we react to the space we're in right now creates what's going to come to us next. And it is literally 24/7 that we have to be in this state of self-awareness until it becomes second nature with us to just think and exist and be in such a state of unconditional love, integrated with this divine energy where singularity of the plurality, recognizing that we are connected with every other person by that exact same energy, and that what we do affects them, what they do affects us, and yet it doesn't really matter because it's all part of our shared experience. It's this very strange duality of life that the picture that I always get in my head is like a yin yang, right? And when we see a yin yang, it looks like a constant, like a static image of white and black. But truly, the yin yang is a spinning sphere, right? With this thing in the middle that blurs until it's all one image that doesn't have a light and a dark side, that doesn't have a division. It is just constantly spinning because we are all and we are nothing. We are, I am you and you are me. And being in this space of being able to actualize that and integrate it in our everyday life is so like, I just every day, even if it's a horrible day, I'm grateful to be able to be here and processing this. It's like a big old mystery, like a Scooby-Doo mystery, constantly of trying to figure out all the ins and outs and then live in that space of love all the time. It's funny that you did the thing with the, cleaning off who we are. With the Unleash Your Light, they showed me this picture of our divine, like, beautiful golden image, and that the stuff we go through is like tar splats that we pick up our entire life. And so that name, Unleash Your Light, was literally about like cleaning it off, like Windex, through loving these things that we have gone through, loving ourselves through them, that empathy, love, forgiveness, and just really connecting every day in what we do, not for the 10 hours that we meditate, not for the time we're doing affirmations, not for the time that we are, doing our focused whatever, but in those other times that we really are able to embody that love every day. And I'm super grateful that you are here today. I want you to plug yourself again. I know that you do a podcast called Living Out Louder. So I want you to tell people a little bit about that. And then we'll move into the next thing that you do, because you do a lot. You do a lot, Dave.
Yes, that actually is returning at the end of July. The exact date will be out very soon. But it's a video podcast, and Living Out Louder is the transformation, the journey that we all have to take to meet our higher self. We all have had these transformations happen, that who we were. And if we're not embarking on a journey of meeting self, my self-love, I have, broke free from the layers, the bondage of the past, then what are we doing? There is no other quest in life. And so Living Out Louder is actually just the amplified self, the higher being, living as your most authentic self, And I believe that,
Beautiful.
Wholeheartedly. So I love having people on that embody that spirit, that they're living as their most authentic self, how they got there, what they're doing, and how they're helping others do that as well.
It sounds
And
very
that
familiar, Dave.
again
It sounds
should
very
be
familiar.
Yeah. Yeah,
I will
because
definitely
it's possible if it. Yes.
I will definitely let the
Because at
audience
the end
know
of the
when that
day,
comes
if I
back
did
on.
it. Oh,
Yeah, we're
good.
lagging,
Yes.
y'all. This is not us hating on each other. We're lagging. And that's why I end up talking over him sometimes, and he ends up talking over to me, because our audio is lagging also. I apologize. Technical difficulties. I'm still working through them. I'm still trying. I'm doing my best, you guys. I'm doing my best. So I'm going to let the audience know when that starts again for sure. I'll post on my page when that comes out. And you mentioned it earlier that you're doing the teaching on the Course in Miracles. And I was a big, before I had my awakening, I grabbed a copy of Return to Love by Marianne Williamson from a thrift shop somewhere for like 99 cents. And I tell you, and I was not in my awakening. I was in my, I hate myself. I'm a miserable person. I'm in a terrible marriage and this is what I deserve phase. And I read this thing so much that it is dog-eared. I would use it like an oracle. And I didn't realize I was doing it because I didn't know I had the thing, like the connection back then. So I would literally, when I was in pain, I would open it randomly to a page and it would always have something in there that was helpful to me. So I'd love for you to share with the peeps what you do on this An Eternal Year of Love, what it is, and so where they can find it.
Yes. So it's based off A Course in Miracles, and many people have teach it, based their whole careers on it, such as Marianne Williamson, and it's a systematic psychological approach to love as God loves, source. It does use a lot of Christian terminology, but we're not to look at that as a label. It's to be used metaphysically, which is greater than physical. There's a greater story being told, and it's a very large book. I had an urging to read it many years ago. As I said, I'm a voracious reader. I study every day, and I was getting done with one, and I was starting to get bored with what was out there because it was a regurgitation of what we've learned. The same thing, only said just slightly different. And I got a divine tap on the shoulder to read this. And I've read it many times. It's a big, big volume of a book, and it also has a corresponding workbook. 365 lessons, a year's worth of the first half spent deconstructing. It's the wiping of the lens, if you will, taking down our meanings of things, and to recognize that I don't know what anything means. And the second half of that year is spent on being in the present and how I can be the light of the world for everyone. And it's through the eternal love that we are. And so that's why I called it a year of eternal love. It's because we're eternal beings and we were made in love. We are love. And it's time that everybody needs to be awakened to that, to, return home.
Yeah. So you do this every day,
so
they can find it on your YouTube channel?
Yes. I do this every day. I release it every morning, and it can be found up on YouTube under Dave Vargas. They can look for that. Also on my Facebook page, of course, I share that there, and my business page, Living Out Louder with Dave Vargas, and so it's very important. It's a long commitment, but I suggest anybody that even if they're just picking up, a lesson or two, it's going to open your mind to so many different possibilities. You'll want to start over. You'll want to start, because this was just divine intervention. Many people that start the book quit it. If you ask your friends or anybody, hey, have you ever done this Course in Miracles? Yeah, it was too heavy. It was too much for me. Because of who we are and why we do what we do. So it's a rewiring of the brain. It's mind training.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. We're all training our minds. We're all in training, y'all. Even round people are in training now. This is how this goes. It's like a constant. It's a constant. I don't even like to say improvement. It's transformation. And you go through stages where it's great and you go through stages where it's tough. We do have a couple of people here live. I'm not sure if anyone wants to ask a question, but I am going to put this up just in case someone has a question. Feel free to jump in while Dave and I are wrapping things up, and I'm sure that he will be happy to answer any questions that you have. I have been so grateful to have you on, Dave. I so appreciate this. And I am very much looking forward to your show starting again so that I can share it with my people. Do you find that you tend to deal with a lot of men, a lot of the masculine in the awakening? Because I see a lot of females in this, but do you tend to find that men are having awakening at that same pace that women are?
Yes and no. On the surface of things, it's much more women, much the divine feminine, and that's because of what they've had to do. They've had to, women in a society had to do everything. They're giving birth, they're taking care of a household, they're changing and they're transforming, and they're willing, more open to do work and to be more and to know that they're more and to, and they face much more toxicity in their life. So I see much more women, but there's many men out there, and we have to break the stereotypical boundaries of that. To that, it's okay to be who you are, to feel. You have to feel it to heal it.
True.
And I do work. You do. You have to recognize it. You have to see it for what it is. No longer the white lying things. You have to see the blocks to love that you put up, because what's hurting us now is not the love that was withheld from us in the past. What's hurting us now is the blocks that we have put up to love.
Yeah. True.
So it's okay for men. There's much more. There's much more better, and I welcome that.
Beautiful. Well,
we
I
have to
am
be
going to
the
let Dave
yeah.
go. He is a very busy man, but I am so grateful for you being here. All of the people that are watching, I'm so grateful for every single one of you. You can find Dave's information in the description that is above this video. I will be posting this all over the place, as well as on my YouTube page. You can still get a copy of my book, Unleash Your Light, at unleashyourlight.org. Let's see if I have my little website. There we go. Put up my little website there. And it is simple stuff that you can do every day to embrace and access the divine that's in you. It is not regurgitation. When I wrote that, I literally didn't even, they said, you're an empath. And I went, what's an empath? I had to look stuff like I had no idea. And they just said, shut up and write, shut up and write. And I wrote this whole silly little thing with these simple steps. And it has changed my entire life. And I'm so grateful to be in this awakening, to find people like you. We are all grateful that we can share this energy and that this awakening is happening. It is more important than ever that we love others, that we have empathy for others, whether they are our perceived enemy or whether they are our best friend in the world, that we embrace that empathy for those who may not deserve it, for those who may be acting in ways that are atrocious to us or deplorable to us, to use a very American term. We have to embrace empathy, forgiveness, love for every single person, because we are the same as them with different life experiences that are creating different behaviors today. And if you want to dig into that, y'all should reach out to Dave. Dave, I'm going to let you wrap it up with whatever you would like to say in closing.
Yeah, I want to, thank you. I'm very grateful being on with you now, and all your listeners and viewers, and thank you for joining us. I'm very grateful. We are very powerful creators more than we could ever even fathom. I don't even know my own limits. I'm just scratching the surface. And anyone that is listening, I do offer free clarity calls to find out where you're stuck, where you want to go, and we can illuminate the past together to get there. And it's all free, so reach out to book for me, and we'll work together. But I do want to. I love programs like this, and I love co-creating with you. And this is just great. Thank you for having me on.
Thank you. I'm excited. I hope you will come back. And I'm going to say what I always say at the end of my broadcast. You are beloved. You matter. You are loved. And we're going to wrap it up. See y'all next time.